There we go.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks for joining, everybody. Matt Levitt here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We've got a number of people that have joined us for call Zoom number 4 with Daren Falter, Vice President, Yoli Corporation. And Yoli's now in its 9th year. And we are very excited to have Daren on. Daren is somebody that I've known for probably about 12 years, I guess, 13 years or so. We met in Dallas, Texas, by chance. And I remember having dinner with Daren and a few other people at the table. And I bought his book at the time and went home and read it and then got super depressed. The reason is I had just started a network marketing company and I could not wait to get through that first 2 years. But we built a business. It was very cool, about 3,000 distributors nationwide, and started in a couple other countries. It was a lot of fun, and Daren's book gave us a tremendous amount of advice to be able to do that. And then that company failed. I can raise my hand here. As a company owner, I failed in the network marketing business. But fortunately, I had built a business for 14 years with a company and was able to be, keep my head on straight enough to know that I could come back into the arena as a member or distributor and be able to build and grow and do something in this business arena again. And so in 2012, after I came out of from underneath the desk, 3 years after the disaster, I found Robbie Fender and was reintroduced to Daren Falter again in Dallas, Texas. Isn't that funny? We met up in a hotel lobby with Corey and you and Robbie and Bobby, I think, was there. And we just had this tremendous connection again. And so I said, hey, what the heck? I'm going to get started with this company. I like these guys. And man, has it been a ride. And now for 6 years. And so I really appreciate Daren and all that you've done for this company, and certainly the commitment that you've given to me throughout the years and to this group of fine leaders that are coming up that I've had the ability to meet and work somewhat intimately with over the past 3 years. And as we develop, many of the people that are joining us here tonight, I've only had the opportunity to meet in the past year. And so it's pretty exciting to have what's happening here. I want to just turn it over to you, Daren. You've got a lot to go through, so let's get rolling, man.
Awesome. Thank you. If anybody's coming on, if you can mute your, there's a way to mute your screen. You can keep your video running, but mute your screen so you don't have any feedback. Sometimes you get a little feedback. Brian Tantello, thank you for filling in last week. I heard it was awesome. I was on an airplane. I'm sorry I missed it, but I heard great feedback from it. So thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Wow, look at all these wonderful faces. I love Zoom technology. It's incredible. What did I do without this years ago? You had to have really good imagination. I remember spending 3 years working with one of my top leaders. Kind of reminds me of Matt. And I had this vision of what he looked like in my mind, but he was very shy. He never sent me a picture of himself, and we didn't have a lot of tools on the internet in the early days to share. We didn't have Facebook. And so I show up to a live event one time, and here's his voice, but he's coming out of the wrong face. I did not recognize him because I'd never seen him. It was just incredible. So I love this face-to-face technology that we can share communication from each other's family rooms, living rooms, bedrooms, and not have to leave, not even have to get out of our pajamas if we don't have to. That's just awesome stuff. Okay, so what I want to share with you tonight is the 4th major principle in selecting a company. And obviously you guys, preaching to the choir, you've already selected a company, but I want to go through it anyway because I want you to understand why you're in a solid company, even if I have to toot my own horn a little bit on this particular chapter because it does deal with management team, but also how to explain to people what to avoid when other people are looking at other companies and trying to choose programs. You'd be surprised how easy it is to do a little bit of research and find out that they're heading down the wrong path because they're you know, success leaves clues, so does failure. As Matt and I both know, you know, you can trace somebody's failure for years and years and realize if somebody has failed at everything they've ever touched, they're probably going to fail again. If they succeeded at everything they've touched, they're probably going to succeed again. It's just, you know, it's a pattern that they're creating. So, you know, investigating a corporate leadership team can be tricky. Some companies will eagerly share their financials with you, and others will keep it very guarded. Some people are public, so you can go look them up. It's one of the reasons we didn't want to go public is because when you go public, you're an open book to everything. You see every single little thing that ever happened in the company, every lawsuit, every ups and downs, and it's just really not a good situation because then you're trying to please stockholders and distributors at the same time, and those interests aren't necessarily you know, the same at all times. So one of the things that was really interesting though, and kind of comical, when I started investigating a lot of companies early on, I tried to list, you know, hundreds of companies that I had the potential of joining. And as I started looking them up, I had a guru friend of mine say, hey, why don't you do a Google map search of their headquarters? They said they've been out for 5 years. And so I did, and it took me to like a mound of dirt in the middle of the desert. And so I started doing some more research and realized that they were kind of making fabrications up about, you know, where they were located and that they had this big corporate office. They didn't. They were working basically out of somebody's garage at the time. So yeah, you can find out a lot of stuff on the internet now. I can assure you, I was actually about to pull up the Yoli office on Google Maps, but I'm sure you can all do that yourselves. You know where it is. The technology is not as cool as it used to be. There are many resources that you can look up, but one of the things that we pride ourselves on is we are registered with the, you know, Department of Consumer Affairs, the Direct Sales Association, the DSA. We have, you know, we're registered with the MLMIA, the MLM law. We have, you know, listings on all these different organizational websites. People have reviewed us. People have talked about us. You know, some people are just absolutely are in love with us. Other people, you know, are skeptical about, you know, different companies, and they'll say, you know, one thing or another. But, you know, it's amazing when I go to organizational meetings. Sometimes I'll go to the Association of Network Marketing Professionals annual event, or I'll go to the MLMIA, the Multi-Level Marketing International Association, which is an association within our industry. And when I walk through the door, it's amazing the kind of reception I get. Oh, there's Daren, he's associated with Yoli. You're not going to believe Yoli is doing so well. They're growing. They got such a great culture. They got the BLP, you know, their motto is "We transform lives." I just love it. And everybody has very nice things to say about Yoli no matter where we go. And I love that. I love that we have separated ourselves out from the network marketing industry as people who troll around looking for MLM professionals. And we're finding real people who want to have real results, real transformations, and build a business from scratch, even if they've never had any success with it in the past. Okay, so what do you look for what do you look for in a management team? First of all, you need to look for a company, and you're going to notice this if you've ever been associated, but just by show of hands, anybody lift your hand if you've been associated with another direct sales company previous to Yoli, okay? I see some hands going up. You know, we've had some people who've been associated with the direct sales companies. Most of us have had some dabbling with something. Do you feel different when you go to a Yoli event? Do you feel different? Do you feel a different culture? Do you feel a different vibe? Do you feel a different sense of BLP? That's testament to the culture of the company. That's what you want to look for. And what you're looking for is something where you feel a compatibility with the founder's mission and vision, which basically leads down to the blue diamonds and the top diamond leaders. And their vision is down to the emeralds, rubies, and golds. So everybody kind of feels that vibe and feels that sense of unity radiating through the organization. You don't feel that same feeling. For those of you who didn't raise your hands, you are so lucky. You're so lucky to have found Yoli, because that culture, Rhonda's getting excited, that culture is so rare in direct sales. It's so rare to find a company that actually has blue diamonds who can actually go to a retreat and get along with each other. Trust me when I say, I mean, we were very hesitant in the beginning to even do blue diamond events, because in the past we've had so much trouble in our companies with people being able to get along with the huge egos of these top leaders that get together and they just can't get along because they all got agendas and they've all got things that they want to do differently, and they fight and they end up leaving home, going home early. So I can go on this vacation anytime I want. I can afford it. You know, why am I here with all these people I don't like? And so they storm off. It's horrible. At our Blue Diamond events, it is harmony. It's so fun. And every night, it seems like everybody's sitting at different tables with different people. It's not cliquey. It's not, you know, friends who just, you know, friends. They switch around all the time, and everybody loves everybody. I love the culture of Yoli, and that is by design. We decided from the very beginning, before launching this company, that even if you don't choose to be a top leader, even if you don't choose to be a diamond or a blue diamond, you are accepted, you're loved, you belong here. You can be with us. You can come on the cruise, you can come to conference, you can come to Transform You. You can be a part of the BLP. You can choose to be as involved or not involved as you want, and we will not shun you. We will not write postcards to you from Hawaii and say, wish you were here, but you didn't qualify, better luck next year. I actually had a leader send that to me one year, and it was humiliating because you know, they're trying to shame you into progressing in the comp plan instead of loving you into it. And so you're going to be very, very happy that for those of you who are first timers in direct sales with Yoli, that you selected Yoli, because it is so different than your average company. Matt will tell you 100 times over that there are companies out there you definitely don't want to be a part of. Their cultures are all wrong. And I'm just happy. I'm happy that I found a few other companies that were pretty good, but nothing like Yoli. Yoli is a step above the rest. Okay, so one of the things I just wanted to throw out there before we get into our training tonight is sometimes you'll get the objection, and this is kind of part of our follow-up training as well, and it's also associated with picking a company. Sometimes you'll get the objection of, is this a pyramid scheme? Is this a pyramid scheme? And I want to go a little bit more in depth than we normally do. Have you ever heard of the term a Ponzi scheme? I want to explain a Ponzi scheme to you. A Ponzi scheme is simply a type of pyramid investment deal where with a little twist. It's to trick people into believing it's a legitimate beginning, okay? So the Ponzi scheme was named after Charles Ponzi, who became famous, or should I say infamous, for his little mathematical game back in the 1920s. Charles Ponzi developed an investment program that would allow people to earn a healthy 50% return on their money. 50% return. How many of you are interested in a 50% return on your money? Heck, I put money in like that every year. You just keep doubling and doubling and doubling. So 50% return. If someone invested $1,000, they would earn back $1,500 for a $500 profit. So let's say Ponzi his first three victims were Adam, Bill, and Carl, ABC, okay? So Ponzi would get Adam and Bill to both invest $1,000, okay? So there's $2,000 in the pot. And then he would take $500 from Bill's investment and pay Adam back his $1,500, artificially providing proof that his scheme worked. And so he got everybody excited. You know, Bill got his money, or Adam got his money back. And so Bill and Carl and everybody tell everybody, hey, it's working. We're getting our money back. So everybody starts pouring their investment dollars into the scheme. And he starts slowly dishing out returns for some of the people, not all of them. And by the time it grew to a fever pitch, a big frenzy, his phone stopped working. Stop working, and you know, because there's no way that you can keep the scheme going forever. It's got to die. You know, pretty soon Peter, you know, is robbing Paul to pay Larry, and it just dies. So what's the lesson for network marketing companies? The survival of network marketing is based on, you know, from month to month. It should not be dependent on sponsorships. It should not be dependent on recruiting. It should be dependent on the sale of product. The sale of product is what makes a company legal. And so whenever you run into a company where they're trying to get you to sign up for something, they're putting too much emphasis on the sign up and the sponsorship over the product. Be very leery. Even if it looks like they have a legitimate product, if they're overemphasizing the recruitment, if they're overemphasizing the business opportunity above the product, if they're talking lifestyle and jet planes and money and time freedom, and they're not, the product is a complete oversight, that is typically, it reeks of pyramid scheme, or it reeks of Ponzi scheme. So just help your friends and family be very careful of that. One thing you're going to find in this company, this will happen to every leader who's listening to this message. Every person who stays in the business and becomes a leader, this will happen to you at least once. You're going to have somebody who's lured away by something that is so enticing because it seems so much, it's so much easier, easy money, easy money. Or it's something that's, it's a complimentary deal. It's a complimentary program. It's kind of like we used to have a thing called ProStep. It was a leads generation program. So you join your primary company, Yoli, and then you join a secondary company that's a lead generation network marketing deal. And everybody gets their network marketing leads. That's your product for the month based on an auto ship. Well, meanwhile, Rhonda gets excited about the lead generation deal. She's more excited about that. So she goes to Matt, she goes to Dawn, and she goes to Shane, and she goes to Teresa, and she goes to Brian, and she recruits them into her lead generation program. Meanwhile, Matt's kind of upset because Matt's the one who, maybe referred all those people into Yoli. And so she's kind of going around his back to recruit them in another deal where she's getting compensated. You can't mix two compensation plans together and survive. And it'll happen to you sometime where somebody will get excited about something else. It's either a complimentary deal or something that says it's not competitive because it's skincare. It's not competitive because it's selling motor oil. It's selling engine degreaser. It's selling, I don't know. I remember the day that cigarettes went MLM. I couldn't believe it. This guy was trying to pitch me. I don't smoke. That's okay. It's going to go crazy. You're going to make so much money. Like, yeah, I don't know. There's just anything can go MLM, So just be aware of that so that you can help your friends not be lured away and disrupt your organization. It's already, it's happened a few times where people have joined these crazy little startup deals, and I tell them through the face, I say, in 90 days, you're going to start seeing struggles in that company. In 6 months, it'll be out of business. And almost every time it is. And sometimes people said, wow, Daren, you're kind of like this network marketing prophet or something, not Nostradamus of network marketing. You're always predicting me right. I go, no, I'm just playing the odds. It's like playing the roulette wheel and being able to pick every number except for the zero. When you bet on a startup company, your odds are that you're going to be playing the roulette wheel and trying to bet on one number, and you'll always lose because you can't beat those odds. You just can't beat those odds. It'll put you out of business every time. So just a word to the warning. And if you ever run into a situation where you find somebody who's looking at different companies, they're looking at a startup in Yoli, trying to make a choice, or you're looking at a distributor who's being lured away by a startup company, or you're finding a company that is trying to compete with us, and you really feel powerfully and strongly about the person that you're trying to work with, just let me know, and we can work on that. Matt's equally good at working with people who've been looking at other opportunities. It just takes some experience to work with, but you'll learn how to do it through the process that you use to bring them back over. But it's going to be more and more common, people looking at programs. Okay, so last thing I'm going to say, the magic about a management team is finding a company that has good integrity. And the thing is, you don't even have to be in the best company with the best products, with the best compensation plan. If a management team has the best integrity, you're always going to win, because here's how it works. When you start in a company, everybody's learning. We're all learning. I'm learning every day. Robbie Fender's learning every day. Cale Carlisle's learning every day. We're getting better. we're personally developing ourselves as we personally develop the company, or as we develop the company together. And if you have integrity, what happens is you make decisions that help the company and help the distributor. For instance, I might decide, you know what, I could shave some profits off of the party pack. I could shave some profits off the transformation kit and make more money for the company by investing in cheaper ingredients. Or I could choose to add an additional solid product to the transformation kit and not charge anything for it, like Resolve. You know, I can increase the value of the transformation kit, or I can decrease the value of the transformation kit. That's an integrity decision. And sometimes the management team thinks, well, they're not going to know if I change the ingredients and just save money on ingredients. They're not going to know. And so it's not going to hurt them, and it's going to make a lot of profits for the company. Okay, so that's a high integrity decision versus a low integrity decision. What's going to happen as the company goes forward? One company is going to keep improving, the other is going to disintegrate slowly. What about compensation plan? Oh, I'm going to take a little bit of more profit from the company off the top. They're never going to know. Trust me, people know. People like Matt Levitt will know, because he has a math brain, and especially Brian McCoy. You want to try to pass something by Brian McCoy? Forget about it. he's a math head, and so not a meth head, a math head, and he understands math. Let's keep that straight.
For the clarification.
And so when you improve a compensation plan, you can see how it affects the downline, how it affects the organization, how it affects his organization, his retention. You know, we're always making little tweaks and little bumps to the compensation plan to improve it for everybody and make retention higher. Because if you improve retention, customer and distributor retention, that's the keys to the kingdom right there. But if you start shaving profits off the top and not replacing it with any kind of value, what started out as the best compensation plan on the market could become the worst compensation plan over time. And that's its integrity call. So product integrity, compensation plan integrity, policies and procedures, income and product claims integrity, it's all there. Now, the last thing I'll say is a company's job, one of our biggest jobs, is to get checks out to people, to get product out to people on time, and to make sure that we are in compliance with the law. Sometimes when we look at the compliance department, we like to call it the sales elimination department. Because we feel like they're messing with our sales. You know, oh, I can't say any of this stuff. I can't say it cures cancer. I can't say it cures diabetes, because it did cure my diabetes. Well, you can't say it, but it did. I know, you just can't say it. Well, then it's going to affect my sales. I know, you know, so they think that the compliance department is the sales elimination department, because we can't say any of these really snazzy claims to get sales moving. But what it really is, if you look at it long term, it's the sales longevity department. It's allowing you to stay in business for the long term and create that momentum growth throughout many, many years to come, instead of concentrating all of your momentum into 6 months, having a big explosion, and then watching the company go out of business as they go through, you know, horrible lawsuits with the FDA and get shut down by the FTC because of bad claims. So it's important that we understand that the company is not trying to slap our hand or make us feel bad when they contact us and say, hey, Rhonda, you know, you need to rephrase how you say your testimonial here. You know, we appreciate you, but you definitely got to take that line out there, and you can't say the word cancer, and you can't say the word $15,000 per month. And, you know, so there's just different ways you have to say things in order to be compliant with the rules and regulations of the industry. It's not just for Yoli. It's for every company in the industry. And if you find another company that's not doing that, you know, I was really given a hard time in years past to the essential oils companies. And I don't like to point fingers and pick out names, so I'll just pick out an industry, the essential oils industry. The problem with them is that when you get into an essential oils company, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you've ever been to one of these parties, they will immediately start saying, here's a booklet, and look up all the different oils for the different, you know, formulas that'll help you with your health. And so you look, oh, if I combine echinacea with golden seal and a little bit of lavender, it's going to cure my, my corneas. And if I snort some peppermint, it's going to take away my brain fog. So, it's seriously, I mean, they will put formulas in there and they say, this will do that. And pretty soon, by the end of the night, you're calling grandma saying, Grandma, I got your cure. Just rub this on your toes. I'm going to come over, I'm going to administer it to you. So not only have you made a claim, you've prescribed a drug, but now you're actually drug dealing. You're dealing the drug to the person. I mean, you've done 3 things wrong there. And then you go over there wearing a shirt that says, I've got an oil for that. I've got an oil for that is a claim, people. That's a health claim, and that will shut you down. And they've already been slapped many times. I think the biggest slap is coming, though. So trust me when I say you just can't do it, people. And here's the deal. We're going to talk about something in the follow-up department tonight that will knock your socks off. So get ready for that training. But there is profit in people's fortune, and there's profit in people's misfortune. When people make those big mistakes, they will learn from it. They will learn that they can't do it. They will lose in credibility. They will lose money. They will lose friends. But many of them are good people, and they scooped up and patience with them, and hopefully they will come around and learn how to play right and join a company like Yoli where they can have integrity, learn how not to give claims, and have something they can stick with for the rest of their lives. So with that said, let's get into our training portion on follow-up so that we can share with you some ways that you can build your business using some of these principles we just talked about. Now, I'm going to refer to my scripts book. So if you have the scripts book, you can pull it out and follow along if you like. But the first thing I want to cover is I just want to talk a little bit on the principles of follow-up. I mentioned before, I think, with a lot of you that I used to have this, I had a sponsor who was probably one of the most dysfunctional guys I knew. He was in the middle of a divorce. He was in the middle of having the government garnish his wages because he hadn't paid taxes in 10 years. His whole life was falling apart. I think he was addicted to some substances. And I mean, he just was a kind of a wreck. And he was the type of person who would recruit you, but then never train you properly, never come and support you at your local events. And, he just wasn't that great a sponsor, but he always made $100,000 a month. You heard me. $100,000 a month, 110, 120. And sometimes he got so bad with his shenanigans, he got kicked out of his company. And so he had to go find another company. And 8 months later, he'd be making $100,000 a month. Maybe a year and a half. Sometimes it took him, but he'd always get back up to $100,000 a month. That was kind of his comfort zone. And the reason he did it, we talked about before, that it was, first of all, his contacting method. And that was that he would always make 10 contacts a day, 10 new contacts a day, regardless of if he got down to the end of the day and he had only made 7 contacts and it was 10 o'clock at night, he would pick up the phone and call Hawaii and make 3 contacts before he went to bed, different time zone, because he was religious, at least 6 days a week, 10 contacts a day, okay? But the other thing that made him so successful, he was dysfunctional in every other area of his business except for contacting and follow-up. That's it. And his follow-up was this. He had a shoebox full of 3x5 index cards. And he created these tabs, these 52 tabs, which represented the weeks of the year. And then he had a couple of sets of 7 for the weeks he was on, the 2 weeks that he was on. And he just kept moving these tabs throughout the year. He would talk to somebody and say, hey, John, you know that business I was telling you about? I'd love to sit down with you. Oh, well, I'm going to be out of the country for a couple of months. Great. You're going to be back in March? I'll talk to you March 1st. And he would file it to March in the little tabs, little year tabs. And then he'd pick up the next contact, talk to him. Oh, you're going to be back next week? file it. Back tomorrow, file it. 6 months from now, file it. I'm not interested. Can I call you in 8 months, check in? Yep, file it. And he just filed them forward. He never got rid of contacts unless they said, please do never contact me again. I'm going to call the police. Then he would probably get rid of it, maybe. But he was just a bulldog with his follow-up. It's called the tickler file. He had a filing system, a tickler file. You could do that electronically, or you can do it in a notebook paper, or you can do it in a card file like he did. But he was relentless. And the reason I knew that is because the reason he recruited me is he followed up on me. He met me on a cruise ship. We were speaking on a cruise ship together, and he remembered my name, and he kept my card, and he called me every 6 months for my whole life. From that time on, he called me every 6 months, hey, Daren, hey, checking in on a real jolly guy, real happy, real nice guy on the phone, pleasant guy, catching up with him. Okay, yeah, I know you're not ready to be recruited right now. He'd laugh about it. He'd call me back 6 months later. And he'd call everybody because I had friends, and he'd call every 6 months. And one day, he called me at the right time because I just made a decision that I was going to start looking again. He called me right at the right moment. He flew me in to check out the company, and I was hooked. And I joined under him. He didn't help me much, but I made him millions of dollars in that company because of my activity. Because I recruited Robbie Fender underneath me. So we worked together and built a tremendous amount of volume underneath that gentleman, and he didn't really help us out much. But we learned a lot from him. We learned a lot from the two things that he did well. You don't need to recruit 10 people. You don't need to call 10 new people a day in Yoli. The reason he had to call 10 new people a day is because 10 old people are falling out the back door every day. Is throw the spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks. That was his whole philosophy. And he had to keep just churning and burning all these people because he was so bad at retaining them. If you get good at retaining, you don't need to recruit as many. But he was a recruiting machine and a follow-up machine. So how do we follow up effectively? First of all, we go to the scripts book, and there is first of all something called collecting a decision, and that's part of when people have been exposed to a company, when they've seen the opportunity and haven't made a decision yet. We need to collect a decision, either a yes or a no, or maybe a 1, 2, or 3. And it's the process of following up after the presentation. You answering questions, you're dealing with objections, and you need to learn that special formula that we teach you all the time. It's called the feel, felt, found. Even if you're not using the words in your mind, you need to be thinking feel, felt, found. Connect with them by commiserating with them, saying, I know how you feel. Have some sympathy, have some empathy. And then show them that you felt the same way. Let me give you an example of how I felt the same way so that you can know that I really did. And what I found was, here's the solution that I found, and you just follow those guidelines. So what are the objections that we get as we go through this process of recruiting and contacting people? It's too expensive. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I need to talk to my spouse. It's a pyramid scheme. We talked about that one. I don't think I can do this. I need to pray about it. There's so many, but those are kind of like 90% of what you get. And the thing is, here's the other thing. People will object to you. They'll say, I don't have the time. But what they really mean is they don't have the money. But they're too embarrassed to say that. They're embarrassed to say at 50 years old, I have made some bad decisions with my finances. I'm broke, but I'm not going to tell you that because you're not close enough to me for you to know that, and I'm a private person, so I'm not going to share my finances with you. So I'm going to say that I am too busy, or I'm going to say that I don't have the time. But what I'm really saying deep down is I don't have the money. And so a lot of times you got to realize something. We can come up with clever objection responses to all of these objections, but it doesn't really matter because that's not really their objection. What we need to do is we need to connect with them. So remember when we talked about the big question script, the big questions? Sometimes what we need to do is we need to ask them, tell me more about that. Dig deeper. Ask more questions. Don't immediately start reasoning with them or arguing or trying to manipulate the conversation. You need to find out more about the situation. oh, I just can't afford the transformation. Tell me about that. Are you on a fixed income? Are you employed right now? Yeah, I just don't have the income. So explain to me, what do you do for your job, and just find out more about them, because you might be able to find out some solutions. And what I do is when it's too expensive, I say, remember, tell me more about that, get some more information, listen very carefully, and then you go into the feel, felt, found. After you've listened, you say, that's exactly what I thought in the beginning. In fact, I said, when I heard the $300 price tag, I said, ouch, that hurts. Here's what I found. I did a little research and I priced ingredients out in my local health food store, and I realized that you get what you pay for. Even using superior quality ingredients with Yoli, the Better Body System breaks down to about $10 a day. I was spending that every day on Starbucks and takeout. So the Better Body System comes with a complete meal plan. You exchange meals for delicious, healthy shakes and snacks. And once I calculated my new grocery bill, I was saving over $200. Now, they don't care how much you saved. What they want to know is how much they can save. So you say, listen, come over, let's watch the videos, you can sample the product, and let me calculate how much you can save. What does that sound like? It sounds like a party, or maybe it's a second party. Maybe the first one couldn't afford it. Come to the second party. Afterwards, we're going to sit down, break down your grocery budget, and see how we can afford this. Let's do the Robert Kiyosaki approach and say, not, I can't afford this, but how can I afford this? Ask the question, how can I afford it? Ask solution building questions. Okay, I don't have the money. Tell me more about that. Listen really carefully. Wait till they're finished talking. Don't cut them off. That's one of the greatest skills you'll ever learn in this business. Listen until they're done talking. Keep asking questions. I'd love to get started in Yoli Better Body System. I just can't afford it right now. Here's the feel felt part. I know how you feel. I've been there. I felt the same way, and it's the worst feeling ever to not have the money. I remember when I was a young father and just trying to buy groceries for the kids. I always run out of money before I ran out of month. I had twin daughters. They were in daycare. My wife and I were both working, and we always still not have enough money. When we found out our third baby was being born, can you believe that, just the 3 kids in daycare would take up more than one of our salaries. So what's the point in even both of us working? And we already weren't making enough. We were stuck. We were really painted into a corner. And so I felt it feels so bad to not be able to provide for your family. Have you ever had to go to a relative to ask for money? Have you ever had to go to a friend to ask for money? It's horrible. I have. But you know what? What I found is I knew if I didn't change and do something different, the lack of money would always be an issue in my life. And so just get them to think about it. I didn't know how I was going to afford it, but I kept praying, and how can I afford this? And some solutions came. I had some ideas come up, and it worked out for me. This, in fact, it was exactly what I needed at the time in my life. And this may be exactly what you're looking for. Maybe we can talk about it. So again, lots of questions, getting down deep to the matter, being sympathetic, and it's always use the feel, felt, found to guide your way, and always use a personal story to bring the emotional aspect in. All of these objections, any objection you get is about being empathetic, showing kindness and love, and being transparent with people. People don't want to know how well you're doing. They want to know how hard it was when you were struggling. They want to know the heartache. They want to know, they want to see the vulnerability in you. That's where you connect, is when you get vulnerable with people and you get down to brass tacks and find out where the pain is. Okay. I want to share with you just a little kind of a sideline thing here. This is part of the scripts. It's at the very end, and this is kind of a little bonus for you. I think you're going to love this. I call it prospecting for gold on Facebook. Okay, take notes on this. Here's a great Facebook idea that I can give you to get some new customers fast, maybe some new members. And don't put too much of any one thing on your wall, but keep it balanced. But here's what I do. So when I post on my wall on Facebook, I post an equal amount of family stuff, religious stuff, inspirational stuff, and Yoli stuff. If you just do Yoli, people are going to get tired of you and they're not going to pay attention to anything you're doing on Facebook. If you just do family stuff, you know, they're not going to be curious about Yoli. If you're just doing religious stuff, you're going to get a lot of religious people, but not people who need the religion, but are getting overwhelmed by your religion, and so they don't want to hear any more of it. So be balanced. Be balanced on social media. And if you do that, if you keep adding people to your list and cultivate your list on Facebook or any other social media, this strategy will work for you. I'm going to give you a weight loss version, so using the T-Kit. Here's a statement that you post on your wall. Do you know anybody who needs to lose 10 pounds this month? Direct message me. That's it. Don't say anything. Don't say anything in the comments. Don't say anything in, you know, don't respond to anybody. And then have some of your teammates say, okay, Matt and Rhonda and Shane and Teresa, I want you guys to come in and comment. After I put this comment in, wait a little bit, and then I want you to come in and say, very curious. What is it? Private message me. And then you'll come back and say, private message me. And say, just send me a private message. Can I talk to you? Yes. So you're just creating curiosity by creating comments below. Do you know anybody who needs to lose 10 pounds this month? Direct message me. And then there's comments like, curious, what is this? And whenever anybody asks anybody, you just say, direct message me. Never answer. Never answer in the comments. Just say, direct message me. Direct message me. Talk to me direct. Call me or direct message me. You want to get people used to responding to you directly so you're not, you know, spelling out everything on the board so people prejudge it. 2 days later, you say, thanks for all the direct messages. I didn't realize how many people would be interested in losing weight. I forwarded everyone to a link for info on how to get a free sample. Incredible results. It's working for everybody. Thank you for your input. Leave it. It's incredible when you start using curiosity to drive your contacting and to drive your follow-ups instead of just blatantly spelling everything out on Facebook. Make sure all the comments from people who have, you know, they're having genuine experiences. You don't want to just manipulate this thing, but you want to make sure everybody's having genuine experiences. But this is about making, you know, this is making statements that are true, but keep them short and very vague. If you just keep it short, don't mention the product or the company, drive them crazy with the lack of details. When you're marketing, you've got to be creating curiosity so people will respond to you directly if they're interested. They've got to respond by raising their hand, by calling you or direct messaging you. Okay, here's another example to kind of give you another play on this. Here's some questions you can ask on Facebook. Do you know anyone who gets tired in the middle of the day and needs more energy? Direct message me and I've got something for them. Okay, again, creating curiosity. What is it? Tell me about this. You know, comments are coming in. What is it? What's the product? Direct message me. This is Susan. I just got this message. What is it? Call me. Anybody who responds. And if you want people on your team to, you know, prime the pump, just have them comment. Say, tell me more. Call me. Direct message me. All the comments are just pushing them to you. So again, so that's passion. Getting samples of passion out. Do you know anybody who's having trouble? You have anybody who's having trouble sleeping? Okay, then we do something on dream. Say, these could be promotions like spread out 1 month at a time. The last one you could do is, do you know anybody who's in pain? This could be for Alkalite or it could be for Flex. Direct message me. Good to do around Christmas time. Great Christmas gifts for, you know, weight loss. So, you know, you can be a little sneaky about it, honestly. Sometimes I'll have my whole teammate line up and say, tell me more. What is it? direct message me, you know, and just have everybody jumping on the bandwagon. Okay, so we are getting out towards the end of our call. What I want to cover at the very end here is just one more aspect. Let me get to my script here on follow-up. Okay, so remember when we talked about the party. What's the most important? You can unmute for a sec if you want to answer this. What's the most important aspect of the party? What is the thing that will drive business, both for the product and for the business at your party? What's the number one thing?
Your story.
Your story. And it's amazing because, you know, in Yoli, we're trained. Everybody knows that because if you've been through a training, you know that the story is the key principle. The story will drive your business in any aspect of your business. Even if you only have time to sit with somebody for coffee and tell them your story, that's the most compelling thing you could do. So in the follow-up process, what's going to drive them into the business? More stories. And the more story is a connection call. How many of you are doing connection calls with people who are customers who are just having their first experience with the product, people who've been on the product for a while, people who have expressed interest in the business, even people who are prospects? What about doing connection calls with people who are great prospects, but they have been a 3, they haven't even signed up for the product yet, but you think they could really connect well with one of the upline team? Get somebody on a 3-way call with somebody upline. It is amazing what happens when you get out of your own way. People are tired of hearing from you. They're used to you. They're accustomed to your voice. They're accustomed to seeing you on Facebook. They're accustomed to your family. They're accustomed to your life. They just know you. Now we got a little background noise. Someone. So they're accustomed to you. So you need to introduce a stranger that has some credibility. And when you do that, I'm not kidding you. It will completely change the course of your business. If you use your upline team or even a cross-line member who's good on the phone, who can introduce themselves, tell their story, just give one more layer of perspective. What is the scripture? Out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall my word be established. 2 or 3 witnesses. You need 2 or 3 witnesses of everything. You can't compel somebody to take any action until they have heard it 2 or 3 times minimum. And that's an absolute minimum. So I want a commitment from everybody on the call tonight that you're going to start this week making connection calls a priority. Get with people in your upline team. Let them know that you're going to be calling them, contacting them for appointments. Just short little, just 5-minute introductions. You would not believe, if you give a 5-minute version of your story, how that's going to go over with so many people. Make a commitment to make so many connection calls per day and watch your business explode with new customers and people transitioning to members. I promise you it'll happen. What is Stephanie Peterson doing to drive from diamond to hit double diamond in record time, and now she's driving to triple diamond right now as we speak? She's doing exposures to the business, telling your story, and connection calls. That's it. That's it. That's all she's doing. And she's doing it very well. And if you do it the way she does it, you're gonna thrive in this business. So that's the way that we follow up with power, is telling stories and having people with other people's stories. All right. And I'm looking for them in the script as I flip through here. There's actually some really good scripts for this. There's one called the connection call script. For one thing, so you can pre-edify somebody before you do the call. Like, let's say that you're going to have Rhonda be your connection call. You can say, hey, hey Susan, Rhonda is going to be calling you. She's the sweetest person, a dear friend of mine. She has this family. She's the best mom. She's one of the things I notice about her over the last couple of years is she's grown so much in her faith. Yoli seems to have a huge influence over her, and you're not going to believe the results she's had on the product. She lost X amount of pounds, and I just texted you before the call the picture of her before and after pictures. Can you see that? Check it out. Isn't that amazing? So you just go on and you edify Rhonda. And then when Rhonda calls, she's like treated like a princess because she's been pre-edified. She's been really put on a pedestal, and they're expecting her call, and they're expecting to be talking to the greatest person in the world because you've built her up as that. So edify your contacts. And then there's another one. Okay, there's another one in here too. I'm not finding it, but there's another edification connection script that you can use as well. And it's just so powerful to use these because they set you up for success when you use a script. And the thing is, the only way you're going to be able to duplicate your business is to use scripts that have been written out so that when you're using them, your downline can recognize, oh, he's using a script. I can totally tell. And all I have to do is get a hold of that script and I can have that same success. I can duplicate this. All right. Okay. Are there any questions about anything we covered tonight? Remember the formula. It's so easy. You study the success of somebody that you want to emulate. If you want to be like Matt, you find out what Matt did to get where he's at, and you copy it, you duplicate it, you model his successful behavior. And what I do to make sure that I clench the success is I double it. If he's doing X number of connection calls per day, if he's doing X number of parties per week, if he's recruiting a number of customers every week, I'm going to double his numbers to make sure that I have the results that he has. And it's never failed me. I always come away with really great results because I'm willing to make that sacrifice to double the numbers. So success leaves clues, people. Make sure you're constantly interviewing people who are where you want to be and model their successful behavior. All right, next week we're going to do our final call. We're going to be talking about the product, the specific product, Yoli product, why it's the best. We're going to go through that whole thing. We're going to talk about what to look for in products. And then we're going to talk finally about events and the power of events and creating your own events and then breaking off and becoming your own leadership team and how that will explode your business. So how to create momentum yourself through events and through breaking off your leadership team, and a little bit about the product. So join us for our last and final call next week. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Love you guys.
Thanks, Daren.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll see ya.
Thank you, Uncle D.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good night, guys. Good night, everyone.
That Kevin tonight?
Bye, Rhonda.
Bye, Madge.